Now, when we know how linear time works in a 3D world, and that time is actually a construct which loses its importance when we're multi- and interdimensional, it's easy to comprehend that the Syrian gods can easily get access to the Akashic records of planet Earth and also figure out the plot the original planners have made up for our original planet, Old Terra. It's also somewhat comprehensible to think that the Syrians, with a lot of help from Aryans like Enki, can reconstruct the grids after the fact that Old Terra was destroyed and Earth was formed. Most certainly, Earth in its present form lost its original Terra grids and was now orbiting the Sun with grids that were empty and had to be filled. So Enki, Ninhursag, and their team simply created a new plot and thus filled the grids of time with their own story. It is my understanding that the full plot needs to end with that the chosen seeded life forms has to get the choice whether they want to reach for the stars or not, so the Syrians couldn't get away from that, but they did have the option to lock one of the grids in so that time kept repeating itself over and over. Also, they can't stop the nanosecond and the boosts of energy and information coming onto the planet right now, but they can do whatever is in their power to diminish the positive effects, and they are. They are, indeed, but they are losing ground and are getting desperate and careless. Their counteractions are becoming more and more obvious even for the non-educated person, and their carefully structured plans are now crumbling and they are making tons of mistakes. Even their functional insanity, Pleiadian term, is now turning into insanity, plain and simple. As discussed above, when an ethical founder group is seeding a planet and filling the grids with their creative energies, they let the species on the planet evolve on their own, perhaps reaching the goals the founders set, perhaps not, or maybe they chose a totally different direction, which in certain terms could be even more exciting, both for the actors and the producers. However, when it comes to the Syrians, changing directions and not follow the script is out of the question, or something that needs to be avoided by all means. So the Warlords created a plot where they are in charge and in one form or another are treated like gods. The actors then need to follow the plot in the direction the Syrian alliance wants it to go. On occasion, the actors start to act out on their own and move away from the original script. To get them back on track, something drastic needs to be done, and the more people there are on the planet, the more drastic the effects need to be to keep the unsuspecting actors on track. Using the words actors and producers makes it sound like a play that's not real or serious, but I want to remind the reader that this is not the case and not my intention. These terms are handy to use here, but this is not a game or a play. It's an experiment out of mind. Usually, with a little bit of creativity on the Syrians' part, we humans can get back in line again. Letting a few people experiencing some kind of paranormal phenomena in form of revelations, with religious overtones help keeping the majority of the population in check. Even better would be to actually be truthful to the masses and tell them what their gods have planned for them. The most extreme way of doing this, and often the most effective, is to tell them the truth in form of a series of prophecies. They let people know what is to come and what is expected from them when it happens. Thus, we have the biblical prophecies, like the Book of Revelation and the Book of Daniel as two prime examples. Many other prophecies, belonging to other religions, are telling a very similar story with their own twist to it, and that way the Syrians can cover most peoples of the world. Even the native Indians, like the Hopi, have their own version of the Book of Revelation in their mythology. Here in the Western world, the most common religions are Christianity and its cousin, Roman Catholicism. So the Bible prophecies are what will be emphasized here by the Syrian overlords. They have a number of secret societies, which they once took over from the followers of the divine feminine and distorted, at their convenience, that have many things in common due to that they are top-owned by the same interdimensional beings, and many of them work day and night to ensure prophecies are being fulfilled. On a higher level of these societies, the members are using a series of occult rituals to evoke spirits who can help them to accomplish the fulfillment of prophecy from the astral. Many of them go so far that they are more than willing to be possessed by spirits they evoke in order to get to where they want to go. In fact, you don't even have to be a high-level member to be willing to do whatever is necessary to fulfill your goals. In 2009, I wrote a book called The Myth About Supreme David Rockefeller, which you can find online and downloadable from this very website. One of the characters in the book was Michael Noel Prescott, whom at that time worked together with Supreme David Rockefeller and Jarl Vidar of the German Thule Order to accomplish exactly this, fulfilling prophecies. He and Jarl are still working together towards this goal as far as I know, and at this point in time, Prescott is highly possessed by spirits he's evoked in magical rituals, believing he is going to be the host for no one less than Set himself. This entity is coming up from the abyss, according to Prescott, and will inhabit Prescott's body. Prescott is working hard to prepare himself for this event by practicing something he calls mirror magic, which is an extension, or perhaps an abomination, of Aleister Crowley's work. As I am writing this paper, I get personal threats from Prescott. He says that he is it, and there is nothing else to focus on than him. Thus, all my papers are a waste. When I more or less told him that my focus is elsewhere, and there are thousands of people claiming to be it, he started threatening me, saying that his powers are more than anyone else's, and that he will destroy me and anybody else who are not agreeing with him. Even the ETs have to lay down before him, he claims. Then he disappeared from Facebook. So, we have all those nice guys out there, interpreting the prophecies in their own way, doing what they can to spread fear around them. Of course, being strictly patriarchal, they also abuse women to achieve their goals, using their powers, being the vampires they are. As we can see, this whole thing is very complicated, where beings like Aleister Crowley and Ron Hubbard, Crowley's self-proclaimed successor, play a big role in paving the road for what's to come. Scientology, with its OT levels, seem to have as their purpose to extract fires from the person's light body/avatar, thus depleting the Scientologist from her real power, and instead have them go exterior, leave their physical body, which is an end phenomenon in most Scientology processes. And the goal is to have the Thetan, the avatar, exterior from the physical body with full perceptions as a regular everyday state of beingness. What I can see is that by following Scientology commands in so-called auditing, counseling, often done with an e-meter, the body Thetans, fires, are told to depart from the avatar, and the avatar is now operating away from the physical body instead of inside of it, which it should be to keep the biomind grounded, and the fires can be replaced with entities. In other words, the Scientologist gets possessed, while the Syrians, in the astral, collect the fires that leave the Scientologists during sessions. And Scientology is an expanding movement, supposedly with millions of members around the world. What a feast for the Syrian overlords. I was a Scientologist myself in the mid-80s to early 90s, and I am very happy that I was able to get out of there. And honestly, it took me years afterwards to become normal again. It was probably the hardest work I've done on myself in my entire life. But I believe I came out of it as a whole person again, and if there were entity possession involved in my case as well, I feel I got rid of it. Still, as strange as it may sound, I needed the whole Scientology experience, because unwittingly on their part, it taught me a lot about myself and others, and how the mind works, and prepared me for my real work, which was still to be accomplished way in the future. However, this is nothing I wish upon anybody else, unless they really feel it's their path in this lifetime. Just like Prescott, there are people around the globe who really believe they are born for one single reason, to become hosts for extraterrestrials and demons of one sort or another. And from my own research, I believe they are right. The thing is that many, if not most, of them think they are doing this for a good cause in their own twisted ways. And like I've mentioned many times, people like Jarl Vidar of the Thule Order embraces everything and everybody who seem to have anything to do with prophecy whatsoever. His philosophy is that it doesn't matter if the people he is connecting with are evil or good, that's beside the point. All he wants is for prophecy to be fulfilled, hence all characters who have anything to do with it need to step forward and do what they're supposed to do. Jarl and those who share his philosophy, and they are more than we think, believe that when everything is over, and millions, if not billions of people have died in wars and disaster, the bird phoenix will rise from the ashes and a new golden age will start that will last for 1,000 years. Therefore, Jarl and Prescott welcome the Anunnaki, the Syrians, and their king, because they are the major players in the prophecies, and the Syrian King of Kings would most certainly be accepted to sit on the throne of earth. Not by people like Prescott, however, who is basically their adversary, but still not in our favor, of course. We are living in the end times, and per the script, hell itself is supposed to break loose, and portals open to the universe and to the spirit world in the hell dimension. In other words, chaos is reigning and is going to do so even more, and entities of all kinds are going to show up here in our reality. So, be true to yourself, keep your mind clean, be as ethical and moral as you can, based upon your own values, take care of unfinished business, create a bubble around yourself, do breathing exercises, meditate, but only if you know what you're doing. You don't want to invite hitchhikers, you need to ground yourself, preferably with crystals and by being barefoot with your feet or body on the ground, and not sitting in lotus position on a couch with no earth connection, no sloppy thinking. Create your own reality and concentrate on building the future you want here and now in the present. Make sure you keep your vibration up, and inspire others with your beingness. Help others when help is asked for, if you feel you can be of assistance, but only as long as it does not deplete your own energies and stop you from working on your own progress. With these simple rules, you avoid psychic vampires and learn how to detect them. This is advice that is all extremely important to ponder in these times. Because there are so many energies on this planet right now that we don't want to mingle with, so we need to protect ourselves. And remember, what you read in the newspapers or watch on the TV news is usually nothing that has to do with you personally. Create your local universe. Everything that's not in your own local universe is happening in another universe, somewhere else. You are not experiencing it firsthand, so it's something that happens to somebody else, somewhere else. You can decide if all this war, chaos, terror and disaster is going to be part of your own universe or not. So see it for what it is, it's other people's universes that you hear about secondhand. Instead of getting involved in all that, concentrate on your own present time and your own future, and the chance that you're branching off to a version of the multiverse which is more at your liking is most likely to happen. Those who have read my previous papers know who the God in the Old Testament is, and they understand the Jesus story better. So it's logical to think that the Bible prophecies have everything to do with the Syrians. In fact, it's most evident. This means that the second coming will also have to do with the Syrians, of course.